Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm James, that's Katie in person. And that makes this the first ever episode 31 of Cloud Control. And cheers to you, Kate. Let me be the first to say it's been a great day. We just played some racquetball, we had dinner, and I made myself a matcha latte, homemade. I got a milk frother, everybody, so that's where my life's at. Hope you're all doing well. How are you, Kate?
I don't have a milk frother, so I'm living in peasant town over at my place.
I'm so sorry.
So I gotta come over every now and again to use it.
It's okay.
But it's okay. It sounds fancy, but I watched him take the battery out of his Xbox controller to put in the milk frother so that you can use it.
Batteries, not a lot of things need batteries these days. You know, like I buy them for my TV remote and my Xbox controller. Those are like the two things that I have. Now I have a frother as well, so battery consumption in my place going up like 10%.
Yeah, you've been, more than 10% if there's three things. So.
Well, yeah, but the frother, like, so small.
You don't
okay.
use it, right? Okay, well.
Well, welcome to the podcast, everybody. This is where we talk about video games, of course. Although today's episode will be a little bit different because Kate's bringing a board game to start the show off, so that'll be a lot of fun. Just to run through the show, actually, we're going to talk about that game. I played Kirby Tilt and Tumble in 2023, so I'm going to let you guys know about that for like 5 minutes. And then to finish off the show, before listener mail, today we're actually going to be watching the Annapurna Interactive Showcase live on the show. We both missed it over kind of the E3 Summer Game Fest time this year. But we both love Annapurna as a publisher, and all the games they make usually are things that we're pretty interested in seeing, so we're going to watch along with that. If you want to watch along with us, you can skip the timestamp to get to that part, or you can just join us for this part as well at the start. So I guess that's pretty much everything. Kate, tell me about Twilight Imperium, which is a board game you played for 12 hours.
Yeah, it took us about 12 hours, so I'll condense it down to be a little shorter. Maybe not 12 minutes.
No, we don't want to talk about 12 minutes.
No, that's true. Twilight Imperium, yeah. So for those I'm not just a video gamer. I'm a real gamer, you know? If you give me any type of game, I'll game it hard. We played Twilight Imperium. It was fun. It was my first time, and it was intense. It's kind of like, if I had to describe it to someone who doesn't know the game, it's kind of like if you took Risk and then like put Risk on a bunch of drugs and was like, here's a way better game. So you map out like your board, who you're sitting with. I think we had 7 players.
So how many players is the max? Like, is this like
it goes up to 6, and then there's an expansion that gives you up to 8. So we ended up with 7 players, and it's like one of those super intimidating games to start, but when you get in the swing of things, like for being 12 hours, it's not that complicated what you're actually doing, but it's just the long-term like strategy and adapting to what other people are doing on the map.
Yeah. So the goal of the game then is like conquest of a map by building an army and stuff like that? Or?
The goal of the game is to just be the first person to reach a set amount of points. So unlike Risk, where you're like holding control of the board exclusively, there's things that you want to do on like to gain points, but holding the board will obviously let you accomplish that more. So you kind of everyone starts out in like kind of a slice of the board to themselves, and you kind of go forward and like conquer more planets, which give you resources that you can spend to do stuff. On your turn, basically. So it kind of starts, everyone's nice, like, this is my slice, like, these planets are beside me, so I'm gonna take them, and like, you go over there and you have that one, it's
but
super
soon
friendly.
You need the same resource that they have.
Yeah, soon, because some of the points, they kind of get revealed as you play, like, each round a new, like, win condition is revealed, and so some of the things will be, like, be in control of 3 planets on the edge of the map that weren't the planet you started on. So it's like, okay, I have, like, one planet here on the edge, one planet here on the edge, but all other planets are like in the center.
Right.
So either your choices then, or you can either skip getting that point, but getting points is how you win, and there are only so many available. Or you can go try to fight someone to steal their planet on the edge. Or you can do what I did and be friends with the guy beside you and go, hey, do you mind moving off of that planet this turn? I'm going to go sit there, claim the point, and then I'll leave and you can have it back.
Now that is risky though, because they got to trust that you're going to do that.
Yeah, so a lot of the complexity of this game is making a lot of negotiations and alliances. Unlike Risk, where it's just the only way to win is to kill everyone else, you can win by being completely friendly to everyone at the table if you're able to negotiate well. And you want to have people on your side, because if you spend your time fighting, you don't actually get points for fighting. It's just a way of getting more like board control or to stop someone else. So we had 2 people that started fighting early, and then they were in big trouble later because they'd spent all their time and resources fighting each other and not getting points. While the rest of us are like, okay, I've done, these things to get points, and like, so it's kind of like a really risky thing to do.
So how does the combat work? Is it dice rolling similar to Risk? It's
dice rolling. It's kind of cool. So you have like a bunch of different types of units you can build that all do different things. Like you have your little ground units that can go and actually colonize planets. And then you have like big carrier ships that carry the ground units. And then you have other ships that may be more combat focused. And then every kind of faction has like their own lead ship that does various, like has a special ability. Some are combat, some are... Mine was kind of cool. It usually can't fly through other people's spaces, but mine could fly through them. So I could sort of like ghost ship my way around if I wanted. And
interesting.
That was kind of neat. So how it works is each one has like a combat stat, and the better ships have a lower number. So you might have like a 5 on a really good ship, and then crappy units will have a 9, and you roll a d10 and you have to roll that number or higher. So on a 9, like you're rolling 2 numbers to get a hit. If you have a 5, you've got half the die that's on your advantage. So it's kind of like Pokemon Master Trainer. You got to roll the right number.
It's a great combat system for sure.
It's a great combat. So you kind of roll, and then you see like, okay, I rolled 3 dice that worked for my numbers, so that's 3 hits against you. And they all do the same amount, like everything. Like your one soldier gets hit, he dies, he has 1 life.
Right.
Sometimes a ship might have 2, but it's mostly about, do you roll the correct number that you need? So sometimes you go into combat and you're like, but there's still that element of like chance. So sometimes you go and you're like, I should totally toast this guy. And then you're like, I rolled 6 badly. 1s and he rolled 3 9s on his dumb troops.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because I mean, I guess like, I'm thinking about it as someone who hasn't played a lot of those games aside from Risk, and like my experience is, sometimes it's frustrating to get a shitty roll when the odds are so in your favor, but at the same time, I guess like it's simulating a fight. Like you don't know how skilled the units you're sending are. Maybe these guys are like not trained or something.
And there's a lot more you can do. Like Risk is one of those games where like it doesn't feel similar to play Risk. It's just looking at it, the board is kind of, it appears similar in terms of like what's the really like classic game. This is like, being built off
iterated
of.
From.
Exactly. And a lot of things too, like you can get cards that do various things. Like I get a bonus to all my rolls this turn that I've been like saving for a combat round, or like there's one of the things I really like about this game is it really encourages you to work together more than it encourages you to work apart. And at the end of every round, after everyone has passed their turns, like it goes around one at a time, everybody does an action. And at the end, when everybody's done, there is a phase where there's like agendas come into play. So we draw a card from the deck, and it might be something like, okay, nobody can go through the wormholes anymore, which are like spots on the map that you teleport between. Or it might be like, okay, somebody has to get this card and they get a +1 to all of their combat rolls. And then the table group has to vote on whether to elect the law, or if it's something that someone is given, like who gets it. And so like, if you're kind of being a brute and like bullying people, nobody's going to elect you for the good roles that might help you. Or if there's like a law where like maybe you are taking advantage of those wormholes, it's like, well, we don't want you on this side of the map, so we're going to say that those are not allowed anymore. So there's a lot more of a like a political dynamic that comes into it.
That's something that's really interesting, because I was this time I've been thinking like, okay, this sounds like a fun game, but what is the reason it has to be so long? Like what is and I guess it's because like the amount of points you need to accumulate takes a long time, but also these negotiations, I'm sure, like really can change up the dynamic of the board, right? Because everyone's kind of having their strategy shifted in a different way, because the wormholes are affecting, if that's the example, it would affect everyone playing, but it would affect everyone to a different extent. Because what if you were trying to go use a resource and you could no longer get that? Now you need to trade for it.
Exactly. Or it's like, you know what, I don't feel safe because this person, like, I think they're going to come and attack me, but maybe they can't anymore. Like, you know, maybe that like blocks.
Or maybe you don't have a way to get away from them now that they are going to come attack you.
Exactly. So there's definitely a dynamic where you really have to be like friendly, but then like it obviously there's a lot of like backstabbing at the end where you're like, okay, I can get like 2 points this round and win if I just like
there's only a
that
certain
guy
amount of time.
So it's kind of like a ticking time bomb of like when you sort of like go through the throat right at the end of the game. But yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot of dynamic to it. I think the length is largely just due to like the turns just take a long time. There's just so many things you can do on your turn that they end up being quite lengthy. And then you have those times where you stop and everybody's talking. And then when someone does get into combat, it tends to go quite long because you're rolling and it's like, okay, no one got hit. And like, okay, roll again. And like, okay, you've hit me, but like this one ship dies, but I have like 12 of them. And like, so, but no one else can do anything while that's happening because you have to wait for the outcome of it. So that gets quite a bit longer at the end. And people are like, okay, do I have any cards I want to play to help me? And so we always say
it's like the Munchkin problem.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that too, where it's like, oh, that guy, like, you know, if he gets this planet, he could win that victory points. So like, let's stop him. And so it definitely like kind of ramps up in terms of like how long things take, and you just have more resources, so you're doing more things by the end. But it was really cool. Like I was a little bit worried that I was like, 12 hours, like, I hope I don't get bored partway through. Like, I've never played, like, I've played a lot of, like, games I think are similar, maybe, like, 5 hours, but never 12.
Yeah, and you can't back out of that because it's like, you're ruining the day for 11 other people because the game was probably over if someone bows out, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, it was honestly, I was, like, looking at the clock, I'm like, oh, it's already been 6 hours? Like, oh, really? Like, this is so great. So, yeah, sweet. I really like Twilight Imperium. I say if like anyone's been kind of interested in these games and they're intimidated by it, like, because you look at the rules and you watch on YouTube how to play, and they're so intimidating. They've got so many details, and like, you know, you got to know the stats of every single ship and like every single character's ability. And it's like, you don't have to know that. Just know the general idea of the game and maybe what your character can do, and like you'll figure it out as you go. Like it's not that hard. You just have to be like willing to sit around for 12 hours.
That's the hard part.
And cool. I will say, my first game, and I did win. So no bias on Twilight Imperium is a great game, but it is a great game.
That's awesome. That sounds really cool, actually. I feel like I would enjoy that if I was to play it.
Yeah, it's definitely the kind of game.
Maybe once, you know.
Exactly. It's the kind of game where like every now and again, like maybe every 2 or 3 months, it's like, yeah, Twilight Imperium night, but maybe not every weekend.
Yeah, true. Cool. Well, speaking of something I won't be doing every weekend, but I did enjoy playing. When I went through it was Kirby Tilt and Tumble, and I've got a video going here now for anyone watching on the video side. So Kirby Tilt and Tumble, you might say, James, what is that? And I would say it's a game that just came out on the Nintendo online service, which it's a really interesting game back from the Game Boy Advance era, which uses like accelerometers and gyro. It's probably one of the earlier motion games that was ever made for like home release, actually, now that I think about it. But the reason I wanted to play this was because you remember Kururin that came out a few months ago, and I played it on that flight, and it's like you're going through the maze with that spinning twig thing, and you have to like navigate these things. This game is actually really similar to that, but instead of the stick, you're obviously playing as Kirby, and it's, you know, Kirbified, basically.
But more things should be Kirbified.
Yeah, I agree. Kirby Tilt and Tumble. So it's like one of those, you know, those like wooden puzzles you can get where you have to kind of tilt it around and get the ball into the hole and whatnot. It's literally like that. So you're holding your Switch. I was playing on the Switch handheld, and I guess it would work with the Pro Controller as well if you were to be playing on the TV, or I guess the Joy-Cons. And there's no button presses except for like you can do like some light. There's like flying sections. There's a different control, but it's 99% is controlled by just tilting it around and steering Kirby around with the motion controls. And I was blown away, everyone. Like, this might be the best motion controls I've ever played. Like, in terms of accuracy, this game, I was in total control of Kirby. I'm shocked.
Right. And this is a game that came out in 2000.
Yeah,
just
I'm shocked.
As a little point of reference.
I don't know if that's the same experience as on the Game Boy Color cartridge, because the cartridge itself had the accelerometer built into it back in the day. Obviously, the Game Boy didn't have that. So I don't know if it's the same, but on the Switch at least, this is fantastic for the controls. So the point is really like you start at the beginning of a level. You'll see we just finished one here. You start at the beginning of a level and you got to just make it to the end. And making it to the end starts off as simple as like, go across this bridge that doesn't have any walls. And then you're going over ramps or like through these little cannons that'll shoot you out in different directions. It'll like, it's kind of like a Donkey Kong barrel. Like when you press A, it shoots you out of it and you got to time.
Kind of reminds me of like a motion control Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah. Although this game definitely, it's a lot of puzzles of it once you get later on too. Like, not that they're very complicated, but it's sort of the puzzle solving with the gyro. So there's things like you gotta hit a certain amount of switches in a certain amount of time to open a door, and if you don't, then you're always playing against the clock. You have a timer, and if you don't collect like little clocks along the way, you can run out of time. If you're trying to solve the puzzle, can't do it, stuff like that. Or like the floor will start cracking if you step on the same tile 2 times. So you need to go push these buttons, but not retrace your steps. Otherwise, you're going to go down a hole. It actually gets pretty tough. Like, this is probably the hardest Kirby game that I've played. I did play it with the save states on the Switch later on because, like, I wanted to see the end of it, and, like, I'm not going to mess around playing Kirby Tilt and Tumble.
Yeah, you were taking too many tumbles, and you're like, well, I'm not here to tumble, I'm just here to tilt.
No, exactly. But, I mean, it's definitely like they do a lot with the mechanic. This is like totally...
I'm sorry. It's just every time the video finishes a level, it comes up with this like massive Kirby face. And something about it is so funny.
This game definitely, like, that's what I was going to say though. Like, it has that Nintendo kind of charm to it that people always say, like that big Kirby face. If you hit the pause button and then like leave it idle, Kirby will go to sleep and start like snoring on the pause screen. And that's just such a amazing detail to think about from being in a game in 2001 on the Game Boy Color. Like, we praise games for that these days because not every game puts details like that into it. And this is doing that kind of thing. Just, I really liked to see that like existing throughout the lineage of these games. But mechanically, like, is for as simple as it is, they really do a great job of, like, it's a 2-3 hour, maybe 4 hour game, and they get so much advantage out of such a simple control scheme. You're never really repeating too much. The other sections of the game, I don't think we're going to get to see it here. You can actually, there's a few levels where you absorb like an infinite flight balloon, and then you're actually flying as Kirby permanently, and it's more of just like a left-right tilt thing, and you can push A to shoot. And so there's a couple bosses where you're flying and it's kind of like a shooter instead. And then there's other boss fights where you're basically trying to launch Kirby up, land on their head a few times, kill the boss, don't touch the sides kind of thing. Just a cute little game. It's really fun. I mean, if you're... I played it like on my breaks at work. I would just like go through a level, grab a coffee, go through a level kind of thing. It took me, 3-4 days. I had a really good time. It was fun, a little nostalgia trip, I guess. I remember our friends, Matt and Carmen. Shout out to Matt. He makes sick music online. We shared his stuff before. They had this game when we were kids, and I remember always thinking the cartridge looked so cool because it was like clear, and it had, I don't know if you remember seeing it.
I don't.
But really interesting. This is another one of the puzzles where you touch the robot, then the first one leads you across and he makes platforms, and the back one, like as he follows you along, he'll get rid of the platform. And so it's easy to follow them, but if you want to go collect all this stuff, you got to like go off to the side, etc. Kirby Tilt and Tumble, pretty fun.
It actually looks cute too. Like, I don't think I would have been super like into it, but watching the video in accompaniment, it actually looks like really cute and fun.
Yeah, it is. Because it's motion controls, I actually think that helps it. If this was just controlled, like if you emulated this, we were just talking before the show. If you emulated this and played it with like WASD, this would be horrible.
That would suck.
It would be just horrible. But with the controls, like I think it really makes it, and I honestly believe if this came out today as like a small thing, people would love it. Like I really do believe that, unless it was like $19.99 because it's Nintendo, then they wouldn't. But if this came to like eShop online for free, just like Mario 99 or something like that, it would be like, wow, people would love it. So that's Kirby Tilt and Tumble, everybody. Thanks for listening. And with that, I guess that'll lead us into the last part of the show, which is it's the Annapurna Showcase. So we got 30 seconds here before the showcase starts. We both missed it. I don't know. How are you feeling? Excited to watch this?
I'm excited. I don't know how I missed it. It was a bit later. There was a couple weeks break, I think is what it was. But I was like, this is the one I was almost most excited for. So I feel dumb for not having watched it yet.
Yeah. You know, for me, we tentatively talked about watching it for last episode. And so I'd held off, then it never came through, and then I forgot. So, well, here we are, everybody. Let's see what happens. I think we're going to have that montage at the start. Yeah. Tested the audio levels with the montage earlier today. Yeah. So.
But it's good. I like that because it's like, here are all the things from last year that you haven't gone around to playing yet. So don't forget.
Yeah. Now that was that evolution game.
Yeah,
there, right? Where you're
really
like
cool.
You're a monkey and then you're like moving up the food chain or something.
Oh, there's 12 minutes.
God, never before have I been disappointed by a game as much as that. Oh no, you know what? That game, L.A. Noire. Oh my God, that would break my brain to figure out which of those two hurt me more.
Oh my God, I think L.A. Noire hurt me more.
I think it's L.A. Noire.
I think you were more excited for L.A. Noire is the problem.
I've lived with that scar for too long, that's why.
Oh, there's Cocoon. We talked a lot about that on
I'm super excited for that.
One of the other showcases. Stray is another big one I really want to play. I was just telling James before that my cat I promised we'd play it. So Neville's really excited for that.
I gotta get Storyteller.
Yeah, we played the demo and we both really enjoyed it. Oh, this I want to play. That's Sayonara Wild Hearts, I think. Yeah. I own that game. It looks very cool.
I want to play that too. The speedrunning one that everyone loved last year. I feel so bad.
With the cards? Yeah.
For not having played that. Like, that seems like such a... Neon White.
Neon White, yeah. That game blew up. What a, great number of games. Like, almost every single one of those games in the showcase is like,
Kelsey, and welcome to our 2023 Annapurna Interactive Showcase. We are so excited to be here and even more thrilled to show you what we have in store for this year. Okay. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll share our latest game reveals,
is that a green screen or is she actually standing there?
And give an exciting first look at the debut game from our internal
that nap pod is throwing me off.
Maybe the nap pod is photoshopped by everything else.
Let's get started.
This isn't fancy enough. Lorelei and the Laser
Game update. We've seen this before then. This is probably one of those ones that we saw, like, we're working on a project.
I've been asked to approach you about a project related to events in 1847, 1963, 2014, and one happening in the very near future. At least 2 individuals in Europe are confirmed to be involved, but ties with several...
I like the art style.
Yeah, this looks a little creepy.
The financing of the venture has been traced to a U.S.-based corporation.
A little culty.
You can expect to be contacted by them soon. They will possibly hire an actor to communicate with
Getting cultier.
Nothing cultier than a top hat.
Interested in interpreting patterns, and solving puzzles.
I'm getting like creepy witness vibes.
Yeah. This is really Control vibes.
Yeah, if Control and the Witness got married.
To gain your trust, this person might offer their unsolicited advice.
I like it though. I like it.
I'm super on board.
Dreams and memories, but you will likely never see the face of.
I don't like her.
Oh. It's always the kids that are the creepiest.
It's little girls with masks.
Right? Especially when they just sit like on a swing set late at night.
That's why I don't live across from a swing set, everybody.
Do you remember? Do you remember the maze? Do you remember the maze?
Oh God. I hope I don't remember mazes though. I'd never beat this game.
Do you remember the maze?
This is what I was audio testing when I was like, this is weird.
This is weird.
It's like a QR code.
Yeah.
Do you remember the maze?
It's interesting because it's like technology, but then they're also in like a castle.
Yeah, there's a dog. This looks cool. I bet you that says something, those like weird figures. I like the idea too. I hope it's like a horror puzzle game because like that doesn't happen very often. And
here's a Cocoon update. Here we go.
Oh, Cocoon, and it's available now.
No, it's not.
No,
I would have seen
we
that.
would have seen it. This looks so good though.
I just love the concept of like you move between worlds by moving those orbs, and then the orbs themselves are also useful within the next world.
I know.
Like that's fascinating.
It like breaks my brain a little bit. Like
you'll need to play it with a flow chart of some kind, like to maintain where you are.
Yeah, I hope they like use that well, but I hope it's not like you don't have like 6 or 7, but then maybe that's kind of like part of what would make it good, but I just think like
I think it's the kind of game like my feeling would be as long as you don't take a long break and completely forget what you're doing, you'd probably be fine. A lot of variety though, like I didn't know you could fly, to be honest.
Yeah, and it seems like there's maybe like boss fights in it as well, and like all the different worlds seem so varied in terms of aesthetic.
September 29th.
Nice.
Very soon.
That's soon. That's a potential like day one purchase, I think, for me.
I think it is for me as long as I'm not playing something huge already.
Agree. It depends when I'm playing and like if I'm in the mood for like a cool indie puzzle game. But like I think that like the quality of there is definitely up there. This is pretty too.
Is it a survival game?
I think it's a photography.
We taking pictures? Wow, that's beautiful.
This is beautiful too.
Photography sim. You know, that would actually be a really cool concept for a game if that is what this is like something like Pokemon Snap, but Professor Oak would actually be rating on like real photography metrics or something like that.
Yeah. I think they'd have to get like a way better guy than Professor Oak though.
Well, not
like,
Pokemon, but like
not just Pokemon, but like he was not accurate in the things he rated. He'd be like, oh, I can't see the Pokemon in this picture, and it's like that's the only thing in the picture.
Yeah.
But you're right, like if they really managed to do it well, like this is gorgeous.
And I feel like it's doable because if the goal of the game was to take pictures, it's not like you're doing systems of like combat around it or something, right? Like what if this is something about that is just
lush raw photography.
Like what if they just were like having that kind of weather technology that Xbox uses in Forza and all that stuff and just made a photography game in there? Like that is cool.
That looks so good. It's kind of ruined by Professor Oak going, whoa! Like that weird noise he makes. But other than that, like
what an interesting game though.
That's gorgeous. This is gorgeous too.
I think this is real.
I think it is.
I think my childhood was surrounded by a lot of nature. It's beautiful.
Man, I want to go to Kyoto.
I don't think we're going to get to see much of the game though, judging by
I hope anyone listening and not watching does speak Japanese.
Yeah, that's true. We got subtitles. They're at their house looking through photo albums
and reminiscing on how beautiful their neighborhood is, and it does look beautiful.
He had to ask her out 2 times, but now they are happily married.
Yeah, and they have a cat, so it seems like it's going well.
They love Earthbound. That's a flex because we don't have that game in North America. Number 2, they have that.
They're riding their bike by the water. Wow. What a nice place.
Our apologies go out to all audio listeners that don't speak Japanese.
They're having a little fire in their house? Safely.
Hard to narrate things. Now that's a setup.
Yeah, that is some his and hers gamer PCs, if I've seen one. That's cute. So they used to work at a studio together and then they branched off and decided to make their own
If it's just the 2 of them, that's so wholesome.
That's so wholesome. And their cat. Okay, so it's kind of based off of a few novels.
You heard of either of those?
I have not. But I'm gonna look them up now. Kind of like a utopian future, perhaps?
I really like the concept of it.
Yeah. This is the kind of space stuff I like.
It's like sterile. Well, like clean and sterile, but
not
bright,
inorganic.
Bright.
Yeah. Oh, that looks like a Pokemon.
Pokemon-esque
sure.
characters.
Yeah.
Pokemon-esque characters for sure. They look like they would have grown up with Pokemon though.
Yeah.
You know? They're probably around our age.
Yeah, that's true.
And in Japan, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Everyone grew up with Pokemon in Japan.
That is true.
Oh, but maybe we should have skipped this one.
No, it was really
It was nice. I mean, I enjoyed watching it. I just thinking about
I don't
the
know
show.
what the game is, but I like them a lot.
When they come back in like next year's showcase with the game, we'll be like, yeah.
Like, what's them? It sounds good. Imagine if they break up. No.
Oh man.
I would be
Don't put that energy into the...
I'd cry.
Look into the camera and apologize now.
Sorry. I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for their relationship more than any in my own real life.
You owe them a purchase of their game now.
I will buy their game. I'm saying, you've heard it here, I will buy whatever game they make. I love them.
I want to. Meanwhile, now this kid is getting ready for school.
This is like an educational...
Why is he in a T-pose?
This kid...
All the time.
All the time. Is he okay?
It's just a kid living his life, but...
Do not let your dog help you brush your teeth.
Well, he needs help. He can only T-pose.
Okay, it's true. I want to say this is going to be a rhythm game.
You think so?
What other kind of game would it be?
I
don't know how it became the shape of a T.
I'm going to say it's like a light action puzzle game.
Okay.
Like you're wandering around town and getting into mischief.
So it's this kid trying to do his regular day life, but he's always T-posing.
Yeah, so the mischief will be like how he solves these problems while T-posing.
Right.
That's my guess.
That would cause some problems for you.
Kind of in the vein of Untitled Goose Game, but instead it's T-pose kid.
T-pose kid?
And a tall giraffe.
Is it Trevor T-pose?
Tote. To-a-T. To-a-T. Oh, I like it.
Ah, that's cute.
I would really like to know what the game is, but...
We'll have to follow up on that. You think it's a puzzle game. I think it's a rhythm game.
Yeah.
We're back over to London now.
Game update, Flock. Is this like Journey, but you're like a group of
flower,
birds?
That kind of thing?
I'm Richard Hogg, and I'm one of the people who made Flock. I'm the art guy.
And I'm Pip War. I do the narrative design and some game design.
So where are you, Pip?
I'll do a call.
Ah, there you are. I'm coming over.
Oh, you can.
Oh, in the game.
Flock is a game about.
Where are you? I'm at home. I'm at home. Where are you?
Creatures.
Starbucks.
And then join your flock.
That's so
cool.
cool.
It's a game where you can just hang out with your friends.
So it's like a creature catcher.
The boomerang ones are the Cosmits. I have a few varieties. Then I have a Thrip and Big Henry.
Big
I want to catch Big Henry.
Kind of like a cross between a cuttlefish and a sausage.
It does look like a sausage.
Which one do you think is Big Henry?
I like that long one.
We can go and find one if you like. So we're taking Pip across the grasslands to find her a slumbering rustic for her flock.
No, I want to go find
one in here. Can you
Big Henry.
I want to go find Big Henriette.
This looks really fun, actually. Like just wholesome, you know.
Maybe we shouldn't wait.
This looks cute. Like, this
I don't think
like
I would probably be interested in playing, but
this looks like a cute game to play like with someone though. If you just kind of want to hang out and like, you know, it's the kind of thing where like it's so simple, but like you could get a little bit invested of being like, oh, I want to get that bird. Like, show me where you got that bird. Like, we'll go get it. And it is really like cute.
Cupzilla.
Pip, check out my sheep.
Look at them, little.
I like the sheep.
I do like the sheep. I'm a big sucker for when they're sheep.
Oh my god, they get in your flock.
They get woolly.
Now, this might change things if you can get non-flying creatures to join your flock.
Right?
I made a sheep. I crocheted it.
Oh, that doesn't look like a sheep. Stick to game design.
I'm sorry, Pip. I'm sorry, Pip. Better than I could do.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't find it because it wasn't sunset last time. We were looking in broad daylight.
Okay.
I bet you some of these are really tough to find.
Oh.
Look at that whale!
They just scream in such a pleasing
There's
way.
probably a lot of like, you know, moments of wonder in this game where maybe we are flying through and then there's a giant bird or something.
Yeah, and the environments are like quite
Mhm.
visually pleasing.
The color palette is really
It's very striking.
It's like when you get the sunset in Fortnite there, actually, you know, like when you just catch the trees, right?
Or like certain areas of Ghost of Tsushima, you know, you go in that yellow forest for the first time and it's just so different than some of the other color areas.
I tell you, I would much rather play this than that. This reminds me of that other game where they were exploring in the spaceship a few years ago and you had to like go across the world and it was largely for exploration, but they were in that ship. Do you remember that?
There's like...
It reminds me of this, but...
Yeah.
This looks way more appealing to me.
This does honestly seem, you know, this kind of seems like the kind of thing where, like, if you're in a long distance relationship and you don't get to, like, see each other that often, play Flock together. Like, just sounds beautiful and wholesome. Like, you got time to chat, but also you got an activity. And then you can text your sister, hey babe, want a Flock? She'd be like, no, I'm kind of tired. Yeah, just, okay, I said that thing about the other relationship. I've just saved a relationship now by suggesting Flock. So I'm net neutral and still gonna buy that other game.
Net positive now.
No, I'm net positive.
Okay.
Okay, I like that windmill. It doesn't look very efficient, but I like it.
This is going to be really off topic, but did we ever, I don't even remember if it was Annapurna, but whatever happened to that game where you were supposed to play as the grandpa and like go through his life and like write a diary or something? Do you remember that?
I don't know. That
or
makes
like
me
take pictures?
Want to cry. Oh my god.
I can't remember.
There's a couple games like that I have on my wish list, like a walk with Yaya or something, where you take your grandmother out for like walks as she's getting old. There's a few games like that I have on my wish list, and like I'm not ready to play them, but like one day I'm gonna get just like hot tea and like cookies and like a blanket and just cry.
Interesting.
Right of your afterlife. Okay.
Now that could be a narrative game I could be interested in.
If it's a narrative game, I'm in. If it's a biking game,
oh come on, it's definitely narrative. Definitely narrative. Glass Revolver.
That's a cool
name. Got a developer spotlight here. This might not be for y'all audio people again.
Cute little house.
Basically every day, if I've hit like a roadblock or if I just need some sort of inspiration to kind of like move on with something, I'll just hop in my car and drive like 5 minutes over to Roger Williams Park.
Okay. Nice park he's walking around.
Having like no literal walls. I feel like I'm able to think like a lot more abstract ways. I'm Jacob Williams. I'm the head and creative director of Glass Revolver, and we're making We Kill Monsters.
What was it, visual monsters? I don't think that's right.
Musical monsters?
Oh, he's from Quahog.
I've always been drawn to kind of the outdoors and nature in general. The reasons why like certain aspects of nature are the way they are. That had definitely carried over into my first game, Ida, and extremely so in We Kill Monsters.
We Kill Monsters.
I'd be like sitting like outside the school, like waiting like for my mom to come pick me up, and I would just constantly like sketch an open world game where you could like camp and stuff. You can camp in We Kill Monsters. It's like a core part of the game.
Oh no!
So, like a hunting game, maybe.
Sir, I wanted to play your game.
I like you, sir, but
doing like the 9 to 5
I don't know.
And coming home.
Do I really have to?
5, 6
don't tell me there's
stuff.
crafting.
Eventually, it just became apparent that I was depressed. I realized I was like, something needs to change. Like I can't keep doing this.
You know what though? Like, good for this guy for like sharing his story, right? Like that's a very relatable experience for a lot of people.
And it was there where I started.
Straight up.
And like that's the inspiration for the game, right?
My first game that I had made. Which,
it's more human, you know, like it's rather than just being like, yeah, I work at this studio and everything's cool, and like now we have chessboards here, we can do it at our break.
It was supposed to be an extremely lo-fi Monster Hunter style game, and then at some point I was like, everything I'm trying to do, I could just do it in 3D and it would like just more fully realize what I'm kind of.
This is a really
it looks
neat
pretty interesting.
World
yeah.
Made,
rightfully so. We're like,
it's a lot more
you shouldn't just switch
like
it to 3D. You're
almost
larger scale than I thought.
Yeah, and it's kind of almost got like a bit of a surreal art style, which is interesting.
This is like too much, and like go back to the 2D version. So
Unreal.
I kind of like
and like a single developer game is like I can't imagine maintaining the drive and motivation to do something like to this scale completely on my own. Like
it takes 8 years to make. I'll just do it on my own. Might as well just do what I.
That looks pretty impressive, honestly.
Honestly, it looks really cool. He's got dogs and like, dude, you're killing it.
Killing the game.
The meaning to me is, it's okay to restart.
It is okay to restart. You're
stuck.
Damn
right.
If you're not happy doing what you're doing, you're not stuck doing it.
Keep an eye on Glass Revolver. This is why we watch Annapurna. It just seems like all these studios, just Lucerne. That's the kind of that's dairy brand.
It's time for the milk sponsorship program.
Oh no, this is culty.
This is creepy. I'm in. Yep.
Sideways Annapurna.
Oh, little girl humming. Not even in English. Yes.
Animals on a cliff, sepia tone. Pupilless man.
Someone looking out the window. Figure in the distance.
Hand penciled.
Horror
So
tale.
I wonder if it's kind of like oh, this looks good.
Oh, this looks good.
It's now available.
I think it's available natively, like just on newer consoles. It's not coming to last gen. They just ran that man over. Watch out.
No, it's out. I think it is out. Yeah.
Damn.
Man, I might want to play that.
I'm gonna keep an eye on that. That looked really creepy.
That paper, it looked like holding a lighter up to like an old piece of paper. Like that was the color of it.
Yeah, and it kind of almost looked a little like stop motion-y the way it was moving as well.
Reminds me of what's that one on the boat that was like a pixel detective thing? Obra Dinn.
Return of the Obra Dinn.
Obviously different art, but like similar movement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's just
stars a game about a broken but powerful
Titanfall.
In a post-apocalyptic
We've got Titanfall at home.
Yeah.
Try to start a new life in a place far from home, traumatized from a profound.
I think that paper game so far is what I'm most interested in.
Yeah.
Half of the gameplay experience is a third-person.
Aside from that nice Japanese couple's life.
Yeah, that's number one.
I'm not even jokingly.
I remember this game. Like yeah, this actually looked pretty cool.
Throughout the experience,
is it like a crappy mech game?
It's like a 3D action game, but you get to customize your mech.
Oh,
so it's kind of
okay.
like what do we call it coming on later on?
Not Custom Robo.
That's what's in my head too. Armored Core.
Armored Core, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a more simplified Armored Core. Like you just customize your parts, but you're not like tuning them to.
Yeah. You're customizing your garage and stuff too. Well, I would say this is a game I would never have cared about, but I'm a big Armored Core fan now, and so maybe I care.
See, and to me, this is the kind of thing where I'm like, they're using the farm and you're doing this.
Yeah, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, because it's Annapurna, and there might be some more stuff going on in the background, whereas like the gameplay itself, if it's fun, like that's fine, but it wouldn't draw me to the game. You know?
But if there was like a really good story and
to
go around it.
These people are playing a role in her life, you see.
Pushing out inner demons.
Be cool if you were like building relationships.
She's got some inner demons, like, ooh, that's the Annapurna classic.
Yeah. Like if this was like, what's that roguelike we played the other time where you like come out of your dreams?
The dream one, yeah.
Not Dreamweaver, but Dreamscaper.
Dreamscaper, the one on Game Pass.
If it was like that, but like with this type of combat instead, this would be amazing.
Yeah, because Dreamscaper ended up actually being quite good. Like I played a decent amount of it, just because I was curious to see what other like places I'd unlock and like finish the story.
I could see that being kind of like that. Like you go see your relationship with this person, and then you get.
There's a Stray update. All right, Neville.
Is it coming to Game Pass?
Oh, if it comes to
Game Pass. It's coming to Switch. It's coming to Switch, I'm sure.
Oh, I think. Probably.
I shouldn't say I'm sure. That's my guess.
Yeah. Either that or a DLC, but this game looks so good. Like,
I'm just so surprised it got as popular as it did. Like Game of the Year conversation.
Yeah.
Like man. I know people love cats, and it is a cool looking game, but I just don't know about that.
I think it's just like the quality of it, like the way it moves, the way it feels. Like the world is so incredibly cool.
Well, that's why I'm excited for you to play it.
Oh yeah, he's gonna push that off and like get the Joy-Cons, push the controller.
Yeah. That's why I'm excited for you to play it, because I don't particularly want to play it, but I really want someone to.
Yeah, oh, maybe it is Game Pass.
I think it was only on PlayStation before.
And so now it's coming to Xbox.
Don't quote me on that, but I don't know.
It was at least a timed exclusive. I do know that. It was PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, so Xbox now.
Yeah.
You think I don't think it's coming to Switch then, because they would announce them both at the same time. Unless Xbox paid for this and it's going to have the logos there.
But like, apparently, like, it just looks good.
Yeah, it does. Clementine!
There's a guy named Clement. You gotta play it! I'm gonna tell Clementine she's gonna make you play it.
We'll play it with the pets.
No Game Pass.
No Game Pass. That's fine. Not everything can be Game Pass.
Yeah, that's fine. I was like gonna buy it. If it goes on sale on PlayStation, that's probably when I'll pick it up.
Sure it will.
Oh, Thirsty Suitors.
Okay.
We've seen this game before too.
Yes. This looks pretty funny actually.
Still think it's a good idea to go home? They all hate you, Jala. Can you blame them?
This should be coming out soon, I think. We've seen it
I think this is an
year.
update. I feel like it maybe is.
Oh, is it out?
Yeah.
Timber Hills.
Skateboarding.
Oh, get out of here, girl. That's why you're so thirsty. No one wants to skateboard with you.
No one wants to play flock with you.
No one wants to play.
Hope you're ready for some long-delayed emotional catharsis.
Yeah, like all her exes become powered up or something.
It's kind of like that Michael Cera movie people like.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, the I'm Not Like Other Girls movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's really like over the top, like all like the Bollywood stuff going on too. Like this is the kind of game where like I think it's just like if there was no skateboarding, it'd be fun.
I'm actually interested in this somehow, you know? I love the concept, like the way it reminds me kind of how Hi-Fi Rush did its story earlier in the year, and I really felt like that story, although it wasn't like super standout, like it dragged me through. I shouldn't say that. Hi-Fi Rush was fun, but you know what I mean. Like it's compelling to get to the next story part.
I kind of like the idea of this too, of like how you're dealing with your exes, because like there's some interesting potentials for stories there of like. A lot of your exes aren't bad people. Yeah. It just didn't work. And so, like, you get a chance to reflect on that. And it's like, well, what could we have done differently? Or, like, I blamed you for X, but actually, like, here was my part in this. And this is like...
Oh, it's coming to Game Pass. I'm so excited by that. Yes.
Yeah, I think the story...
Yeah, and I think there's room for, different kinds of humor there, too, right? Because you can't have, like... humor between people that aren't partners, but in a lot of games, because there's just not a lot of like focus on those relationships. But okay, here we go.
Our next chapter brings a free update.
Free update for Storyteller. This is a good time to buy it.
It is. Wonder if you can use the new characters in the old scenarios.
Kind of like go back and replay it.
Some warm the heart. Puzzle through new scenarios with new challenges. And while you're at it,
I gotta play this. You know
it's
what? Like,
such a clever little game.
Yeah. I love the presentation of it too.
Yeah. Another thing too is like it really riffs on a lot of like classic like literature and mythology too, which like is just such an extra bonus if you are coming to Netflix.
Oh wow, they're putting it on Netflix.
We can play it on our phones.
Oh wow. That's awesome.
That's actually awesome because like we played Before Your Eyes on Netflix for free on our phones, and that was an amazing experience.
All right, September 26th, Storyteller.
All right, mark it on your calendar. We're gonna play.
That's exciting. That's a perfect touchscreen game too.
Yeah, because you're just moving things into different squares, right? Different panels.
Oh, here's a new game.
Oh, from Los Angeles.
What's it
I
gonna
like
be?
that they have this map that goes and shows you.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Chelsea Hash, and I've worked alongside Annapurna for a long time. Starting with What Remains of Edith Finch and later Silver Ash, and now as director of Annapurna's first internally developed game.
Oh, that's right. I did hear about this because normally they just publish.
And I've been collaborating on an exciting new project. I never imagined I'd have a chance to make a game set in this iconic universe, and there's so much more we want to tell you.
What could it be?
But for now, we're thrilled to share this.
I feel like I've heard the name.
Take a look.
When she says this iconic universe, it's not like branded IP, is it?
Lots of people lost things in the blackout. I was lucky. I just lost the job.
His voice is very familiar.
Sort of cyberpunk.
But
now,
Los Angeles.
they want me back.
Oh, I think it's a Blade Runner thing.
I need to see that movie.
Me too.
The new one and the old one.
Me too.
Picking through the pieces. Being someone else.
This guy sounds like the guy from Glass Onion, like the rich guy.
I haven't. Oh.
He's
the guy played by Chris Evans?
No, Edward Norton.
Oh, I haven't seen the second one.
That was very good. You should watch it.
I know.
Stray
2.
Stray 2.
Developed by Annapurna.
We bought them.
It is, yeah.
It is a Blade
nice
Runner,
call.
yeah.
Cool.
I think I'd heard it before. It was the one thing I kind of had spoiled was that they do have a unique, or like something they developed instead of just published, but...
That's cool. Good for them. I wish I had seen Blade Runner or I might have been more excited by that. But I mean,
thanks again for tuning in to watch this year's Annapurna Interactive Showcase.
You're welcome.
We hope you enjoyed a glimpse of what.
Well, that was fun. What do we think? Instant reactions?
I thought it was good. I think it was one of the better showcases we've watched. I like when they do those smaller sections of getting to like see the developers a lot and like just humanizing them and like this is kind of where games come from. And also like I feel like if I was someone who was considering being or doing a developer or like branching out to make my own studio, like it's really inspiring to be like, you know what? They're not just like these unusual people. Like this guy's like, I was depressed at my job, so I quit to do it, and I managed to do it. Like, you know, those are like such human stories instead of like, my dad gave me all this money and so I built this company and whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that they smattered it in nicely, you know, like they had some gameplay for certain stuff and they had updates. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm really happy the Storyteller is getting a free update and it's coming to Netflix, which is great. And I got Thirsty Suitors coming to Game Pass. Those 2 fantastic games.
Yeah, that I'm gonna keep an eye on that like paper horror game. That looks really cool.
Gotta look that up. And the other one was we're gonna make sure to watch 2. The other one was the bike one.
Yeah, that bike one.
The Afterlife Ghost Bike or something. Yeah, cool showcase. Let us know in the comments below what you liked from the showcase. But for now, we will close the show out with what we always do, which is listener mail. This time from Andy.
That's correct. It's very small, so I will try to read it correctly, Andy. I'm sorry if I make a mistake. But it's just actually a simple question and really kind of fitting to throw after, like specifically an Annapurna showcase, I feel, is gaming good for mental health? Which is obviously like a very broad, massive conversation that could be like,
it could be a whole episode of a podcast. It could be a whole series of a podcast, probably with some, you know, heavily researched evidence and scientific theories and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a cool thing to think about. And I think there's like a duality to it, right? Like, and it is funny. We just watched that guy tell about like his mental health struggles and then say how changing to making his game and like his, you know, changing his life has helped him. So I think in that way, it's like, absolutely it can, right? And I mean, the first thing that comes to my head from this is like, I don't know how my social life would have been affected without games during the pandemic, but it would have been like a total mess because, you know, when you can't see people, or like one of my good friends just moved over, you know, he moved away from our town. Like I don't get to see him anymore half as often. And like we get to play games online together still. And for that aspect of mental health, like the social connection version of it, like games are 100% good for it in my view.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because I was narrowly thinking about like games specifically and your own personal relationship to them, but you're right, like there is that like broader social context as well. Like I play, like that's a large way of how I interact with some of my friends is through games, and like I know people only through games that I've never met in real life that I know like just from having
we've met people from doing this podcast about games.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's this massive thing that brings people together. As far as like a personal relationship with games, I think it's definitely one of those things that it can go either way, and there's a bit of like user input. Like if you are the kind of person that comes home from work or school and plays League of Legends for 9 hours straight and gets tilted and frustrated, that's obviously not good for your mental health. And it's, you know, like there is a way that it can be very detrimental. It can be addictive. It can be problematic. So that's some people's relationship with games that is not healthy. But then you have like what I think is my relationship with games is an extremely positive thing. I have like a lot of emotional attachment I have to games. I cried playing video games because there's just so many like stories that I really connected with. And there's so many games too, like we brought up earlier that game where you like take your grandma for a walk through the neighborhood, and it's like, what a way to have some like catharsis and like work through similar emotions you've been in when a game is telling a story of something you relate to, right? Like, so
I think it really comes down to like your own personal interaction with them. Like you said, if you play like those kind of games, or I just think myself like playing Lake last year or something like Animal Crossing or like Stardew, like those kind of experiences, they just become like, you get into like a Zen state and you're just playing this game, you're just vibing, like an hour might have passed, you don't know, you're just having fun. But I guess like the flip side though, like you said, if you're not able to like separate your life from like oh, you know, I got to get my rank up in this. Like, I have to get better, but you can't. Then you get frustrated, or like, you know, you play games to the point where it impacts your social life in bad ways or something. You know, these are very niche problems, but like there are dark sides, I guess, too. Like, I work from home, and if I want to play a game all night, like it's really easy to not leave my house, you know. And if I do that for a couple of days, then that doesn't make me feel good in a good, you know, a lot of the time. But that's like on you to police yourself and regulate a lot of things.
Exactly. I think like it's easy to pick on games and blame them, but like it's also easy to be like, oh, you know, they're violent and you just play Call of Duty, but it's like, but what about a game like Spiritfarer, where it's all about like, you know, helping the spirits of dead people like pass on with like whatever unresolved things in their lives and like bring them peace, and like there's so much art in games.
Well, and also that, like you can make the same argument like, oh, you like to read, well, you only read Tom Clancy war novels, so like you're just like, you know, it's the same art. It's so easy to poke holes in.
Exactly. It's such a massive and diverse like area of interactive art that like
well, then you see things that are coming out, like you think of games like Flight Sim or like that photo game that we saw today. Like there's probably people that just have an interest in photography or like flight and that would be interested in like playing that because they have a computer. Like they don't even play games, you know. Like imagine like our grandpa, he was really into trains, and you know, how much would he have loved to be introduced to Train Simulator World or something like that? You know, he would have had his mind blown by that, and it would have been like the most joy you could have shown him. But
so I guess overall answer is like very strongly they can have a positive effect, but also, you know, be safe, take care of yourself. If you think something's becoming negative in your life or having a bad impact on you, take a step back and like, you know, explore your options.
Exactly.
You know, drink water, stay hydrated, eat a proper meal. Not like some chips between League when you die in League and you got 20 seconds to respawn. Eat a real meal, drink some water, go to therapy, call your mom, tell her you love her.
There you go.
Unless she's the reason you need to go to therapy, in which case call someone else. You know, be happy, be safe. Play Twilight Imperium and Kirby Tilt and Tumble.
There you have it, everybody. The greatest life advice you'll ever need. You've come to this podcast today. You've had not only board game reviews, you've not only game reviews, game showcase, and some life advice to top it off. So there you go. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back on the next episode. We will be going back to Final Fantasy 16, I think, then. We just haven't quite made it up to the next stopping point where we want to talk about the game yet, but we'll be back to that next time, along with some really fun stuff I think we have planned. So until then, remember, everyone, this has been Cloud Control, the gaming podcast that's not just good, it's good enough. And we will see you on the next episode.